Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ara Ara Channel. I'm your host Vivz, and with me today is my usual co-host Amy.
Hi,
Amy.
Hello.
And today we have a very special topic. We will be talking about the 40th anniversary of Studio Ghibli, which Amy is a huge fan of. And for me, I'm not that big of a fan. But before anything else, how are you, Amy?
All good. Really happy because we just had our anime community meetup and it was very, very successful. Cause it's Eid holidays as of our time of recording and when we had our event. And it really could have gone two ways. Either people really wouldn't come because obviously, Eid's a time where you celebrate with family and it's a very solemn sort of event. And we had ours alongside because that was also the time people were free. So we were really happy that almost everyone that RSVP showed up, even if they didn't stay for the quiz, they still came and
Said
said hi
hi.
to everyone and made friends. And I really love that it wasn't awkward at all. Like when people came, they were like, "Oh, so you're that person from what's your
The
name on
group
WhatsApp?
chat.
Oh, you're the person from that group. Oh, you're the one that keeps sending stickers." There was that dynamic already. Really happy about that. But how about you? How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't feeling well the past 2 days, actually, even during the day of the event, but I had to push through, to do the quiz. And as you said, I'm happy with the turnout of the meetup that we had, especially because we only announced it on the WhatsApp group. We didn't announce it on Instagram. We never promoted it. And we just wanted it to be like a special meetup for that group specifically because like some of the people there were also the people that I met in Game Expo.
Yeah.
When we had the episode 0 meetup.
The episode 0 meetup, yeah.
So that was the prequel to everything, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, let's plan something on Eid holiday instead of just hanging out in an event because like obviously it's a bit noisy, like it's hard to do something. Like yeah, you're talking with each other, but then there's also an event happening at the same time, so like your focus is divided. So they wanted to have a special meetup, and yeah, we planned the anime quiz, and the venue was in an anime cafe, which was really cool. So it's called Mangaya. It's the first manga cafe here in the UAE. And I really like the place, the vibe, the venue itself made it extra special since everyone loved the place as well. I think most of them found the quiz hard.
The thing is, the third placer scored 18 points, but the first and second were very close. It was like 39 and 35.
36.
36.
Yeah.
So yeah, most people found it very hard, except the two that were like a bit close to each other.
Yeah, and I
3
think it
points
was
because of the music quiz.
Yeah. Because of the music quiz, and Vivi was like, "Can we please just put 1 point on the music round?" And then there was one guy who's saying, like, "No, give it 5 points to redeem ourselves." No, because I think I really made the quiz a bit hard. And thank you as well to Mahesh who helped out in doing the quiz, like formulating questions, and also to Ali from Otaku ME, which we've had good relations since like from the past 2 years for sponsoring the prizes of the event, and also to Jason who invited more people to come to the event, like invited people who can participate in the quiz. And you guys had an after party.
We did. We had dinner at DCC. We couldn't continue with Jollibee, which was the request of everybody. Surprisingly, but it was full. I mean, given it's Eid. But then I was pumping them up. I'm like, hey, we're gonna do it in Vivz's birthday. And now they're all waiting for your birthday.
Did you tell them? I know it's just gonna be a hush hush secret between the two of us and Mahesh, and now you announce it like, yeah, it's Viv's birthday. The pressure intensifies. Okay. So yeah, we will have a Jollibee party soon. Next month. Which everyone has to be in cosplay.
Oh really?
Yeah,
is that the criteria?
Yeah, no, because like see, the first event that we did is an anime quiz, right?
Yeah.
So the second event is gonna be cosplay related, which I'm thinking we can do a cosplay party in Jollibee. Because that's what Julie suggested, because they did a Jollibee party back in December and they were in costume. She showed me the photos and it's really fun. And the thing is, the good thing, if we do it in Jollibee, they will have the parlor games, like how it is for a birthday party. So it's going to be fun. They will see Jollibee dancing.
Which is like the dream of most Filipino kids to have, right? The Jollibee birthday. You were saying something about this.
Yeah. No, because I experienced it quite a few times when I was a kid, but it's a big thing for us in the Philippines that if you had your birthday in Jollibee, you're a popular kid. Like, yeah, she had her birthday in Jollibee, and Jollibee was there. Like, you're a cool kid if you had your birthday in Jollibee, and not everyone gets to experience that. So let's give it to them to experience how a Jollibee birthday party
what it's
is.
like.
Yeah. So yeah, because it traumatized me as a kid, the mascots in the beginning, but eventually I was like, oh, this is fun.
Over here, we had McDonald's and Burger King. So I know the characters. Does Jollibee have other characters as well aside from Jollibee?
Yeah, Hetty and the spaghetti
Ah,
girl, and then you have the guy in the what they call this black and white suit, Mr. Yumburger or something. No,
okay.
wait, is Hetty in McDonald's? Let me check. Jollibee and friends. Let me Google it now. So Jollibee has his friends Young, Popo, and Twirly. Yeah, so yeah, he has his friends too. But I think the most popular one is always obviously Jollibee. I don't think I've seen Twirly before, but I've seen the yellow-haired girl. No,
Okay.
Hetty is really in Jollibee. I checked now.
Okay,
So she is
so
the spaghetti girl.
okay, so she's Jollibee.
Yeah, she's Jollibee. Just to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they have all the characters here, or it's just Jollibee.
That I don't know, because in the Philippines, I'm sure they have the other characters because I've seen them as a
I've not
kid.
seen them here.
Yeah, but here I think I've only seen Jollibee so far. Cost cutting. It's like different mascots. How many mascots are you gonna take out in a birthday party? But yeah, anyway, so that was fun. You guys couldn't go to Jollibee, so you went to some other place.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah. We went to. I mean, we were in DCC already. So in DCC, there, Dubai City Center, Dera City Center, there are two food courts. One is the food court, the Magic Planet food court, and the Food Central food court. So we were at the Food Central food court, just ordered whatever we wanted from whatever stall was there, and just had dinner, pretty much. But
yeah,
it was very fun. There was like someone said, that there was like every genre that night. There was action, there was comedy, there was drama, like but it was very fun, yeah. And everyone was asking when is the next one? When is next? They want a next one already.
yeah. I know. I can imagine the pressure. And also imagine that you guys were like 15 people who went to DCC
Yeah, true.
just to have that after party. So it's still most of the people who went to the actual quiz. Like
Yeah.
obviously some people left, but there are still a lot of people who stayed for the
True.
after party, which I couldn't come because I was not feeling well. But yeah,
Mm.
anything else from that after party or that meetup that happened?
No, nothing else. I mean, definitely, like, I'm just really happy about the community that was built and how everybody is sort of very supportive and working together towards making it grow more.
Yeah, true. If you guys want to be a part of these events, join our WhatsApp group. We also have a Discord server and a subreddit, which you can also join. But now moving on to our main topic for the day, which is Studio Ghibli.
Yes.
See, personally, I don't have much experience with it. I've only watched Ghibli like I was already here in Dubai. So just imagine it's very, very recent, like within the last 5 years. But for you, Amy, you grew up watching Ghibli, you really love it. Every time that we talk, that's the first thing, or like you're the Ghibli fan between the two of us, right? So
Yeah.
since it's the 40th anniversary of Ghibli, and we were also planning to do a watch party of Spirited Away, which we will do soon in one of our upcoming events. What does Ghibli mean to you personally?
Well, I mean, I've said this in a few episodes as well. Like, for me, Ghibli is a big part of my childhood. Back then, my age will show, but back then, when you used to rent DVDs from a place, from a store,
What's a
because we
DVD?
didn't have Netflix. So back in the day, I used to rent DVDs, and that's pretty much how I discovered Ghibli. I don't necessarily remember how old I was. Maybe I was 10, 11, something along those ages, and I stumbled upon Spirited Away. I just saw the cover and I was like, oh, this looks very interesting. So there were two things that I would rent over and over again, and surprisingly enough, they're both anime, but in my child mind, they were not anime. I mean, I didn't know they were anime. So it was Spirited Away and Pokemon Forever. So I would always get these two. Plus, the like whatever else. Like, okay, this is new and interesting. Let me check. But yeah, so it started with Spirited Away when it came to Ghibli, and I just absolutely loved it. Like everything about it. It's just magical. I felt like it was a very creative and imaginative sort of film animation, you know? So what it means to me is that it's a big part of my childhood that kind of gets carried into a lot of, I guess, my creativity as a creative now. You know, like just how Ghibli makes movies in general. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the films that I've made are coming of age, which
Yeah.
is a big theme in Ghibli movies. Like how it's so visually appealing. It's something that I aim to achieve. So it's like a big, big part of me. That's what Ghibli means to me. Yeah.
And you've mentioned that the first movie that you've watched was Spirited Away. I think for me, I'm just sharing what the little knowledge that I know from Ghibli. I think the first thing that I watched was My Neighbor Totoro,
Mm.
and it was a very recent movie. And also, Grave of the Fireflies is Studio Ghibli, right?
Yeah, Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli.
See, the thing is, I've heard about Grave of the Fireflies from a long time back in the Philippines. It's just I only watched few scenes of it, not the full movie, because I know it's sad. So I didn't want to have that trauma.
Mm.
So that's why I was maybe avoiding it that time. Like in uni, everyone is talking about, oh, what's the saddest movie that you watched? Oh, it's Grave of the Fireflies. So it
Mm.
has that reputation. So
It
you
does,
mentioned,
yes.
yeah. So you mentioned about Spirited Away. You had DVDs showing your bougie side. Because for me, it was just pirated CDs, or like cable subscription that is also pirated. How did Spirited Away make you feel?
The thing is, it made me feel the way that I feel even till now when I watch Ghibli movies, where it just feels like home. The thing with Ghibli, right? It's not about a major plot twist. It's very slice of life in that way, even when it does have like fantasy elements or whatever. Like Spirited Away has fantasy elements, but at the end of the day, it's just a simple story of how people grow and support each other. And it just has a lot of things that you experience in real life that you can experience at any age. And so how I felt back then is pretty much how I feel the same now. It just feels like watching something that understands whatever I'm going through, regardless of whatever I'm going through. That makes
Mm,
sense.
yeah. And I remember the main character in Spirited Away is Chihiro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and someone commented on your photo that, oh, you look like Chihiro in this
Yeah.
photo.
That was literally last year during the Paramount event when Nico directed his film. He was just taking pictures of me because I was like, I look nice, so I want pictures of myself. And then when I posted the photos, yeah, this friend of mine messaged me like, "Oh, you look like Chihiro." And then like even till now, even if that happened like last year, I think I'll die like no remembering that compliment. Like this is the best compliment I've ever received. Like to anyone who has ever said, "Oh, Amy, you look pretty," I'll be like, "Yeah, thank you," but do I look like Chihiro though? Yeah.
True, because when I saw that photo, I was like, oh yeah, she does look like Chihiro in this photo. Like, okay, makes sense. But connecting those, top tier compliment for Amy.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, this person didn't necessarily know if I like Spirited Away or whatever. Like, it's just a friend from long time ago, and he saw the
Yeah.
picture and this message. So I was like, ah, thank you. Oh my god.
The validation.
Because that was very unintentional. I didn't even notice it until like he pointed it out. Like, oh, and then I did get a lot of comments, like what you said now. Like, I got a lot of comments after, like, oh my god, yeah, I see it. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to ask you, how would you explain? Because, okay, when the AI thing of Ghibli came out, everyone
Mm,
was saying the Ghibli magic. Like everyone wants to experience the Ghibli magic, right? Now, how
yeah.
would you explain Ghibli's magic to someone who has never watched their films? Because, like, for me, I have very limited knowledge and I don't feel like I've experienced the Ghibli magic yet. Like, I did experience it from Grave of the Fireflies. My Neighbor Totoro, it was like okay ish for me. But
Mm.
how would you explain it to someone who has never watched it before?
I think when it comes to Ghibli, it's like a whole other, like it's not just a studio. It's like a whole other genre in general. Like it is slice of life,
Mm.
but it's its own thing as well. And it's not just anime, it's still like its own kind of animated films because like when it comes to anime, especially in this day and age, or at least what gets really popular at this day and age, right? It's a lot of the shonen. I mean, even from before, a lot of shonen is usually what gets popular. But alongside a lot of shonen is Ghibli. Like it never seems to get erased from
Mm,
other people, like from anyone who's into anime or just into films in general. And I think the reason for that is that Ghibli it just doesn't try to entertain you. It tries to enchant you. That's like the best way for me to put it. Like the magic is more in the details of what you're seeing, and it's an entire experience. Like if I were to explain magic, it's to someone who isn't into who hasn't seen any Ghibli films, it's more like it's enchanting and entrancing, and it's more of an experience that kind of pulls you in with like all the small details. It just has heart. I think it's
mm,
that. Like you can tell that a lot of heart was put into that. Like every frame was made with such care, with such intricacy. Like it doesn't matter like what the story is exactly, but it's like all just very emotional at the same time, which matches the visuals that it has. So I think that's how like magic would be to someone that hasn't seen any Ghibli films. And that's something like that's what they would say, right? When like the AI trend
mm.
like popped off. The kind of magic that Ghibli has, it can't be replicated. There's something
True.
about the films in general. Like, okay, you can have an art style with your face on it and you'll feel really happy. And of course it is very tempting to want to see yourself in a Ghibli way. But for you to have the same feeling of magic when you watch a Ghibli film, that's completely different. So the magic is in the experience of watching a Ghibli film.
True. I mean, again, I have very limited experience, but I can understand what you mean.
But
Especially
why
when I
haven't you like explored Ghibli? What is it that holds you back?
hmm, see for Grave of the Fireflies, it was the sad part. Like
Mm,
everyone says that it's the saddest movie that they've ever seen, and I
mm,
agree. It's a very very sad film, and it really did make me cry. That's the main thing, at least for that specific movie, why I put it off on hold for quite some time. But for the others, see, the thing is, I have so many movies that I want to watch to the point that I keep forgetting.
mm.
That's why someone in the group chat suggested, why don't you put it on a website like My Anime List? Because they're like in the Philippines, those kinds of things never really was popular, right? Like My
Yeah.
Anime List or like creating your own curated list, like which actually, if you think about it, it makes sense to have those written down so that if you're bored, instead of just scrolling onto something, you can just easily watch whatever is on your list,
Yeah,
right?
true.
So I was trying to think of doing that because like sometimes it depends on my mood what I watch, right? Like obviously I
Mm,
lean more towards to shonen, to adventure kind of shows. I don't really lean into romance anymore, which I used to, or like
mm.
comedy, these things. But I guess it's not top of the mind
Yeah.
because of the amount of content that's coming out. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just that it
Mm.
doesn't come first. That's why you've been pushing me to watch Ghibli. Like go Vivz, watch Ghibli. Let's do a Ghibli watch party. And like yeah, inshallah. So no, but really, it's one of the things that I want to watch. And I guess after watching My Neighbor Totoro, because I have a friend, Dale,
Mm.
you know her as well. So we watched My Neighbor Totoro at her place, and we were trying to binge watch it. But on the second movie, I forgot which movie was it, but we fell asleep
Mm.
because like it was long. It was in the afternoon. I think it was also holiday season, so we were both like awake the whole night, didn't have much sleep,
Mm.
so we couldn't fully appreciate it. So I feel like it has to be something that I have to sit through and watch, like really
Yeah.
watch. Again, me as a non-watcher, I only know a few titles. Let's say Spirited Away, House Moving Castle, Grave of the Fireflies, and most people know those titles that I've mentioned. But
Mm.
why do you think out of all the Ghibli movies, these are the ones that stood out the most globally?
Specifically with Spirited Away, the reason why I think that it got the global recognition that it did was because I think that was the first Japanese anime movie that was dubbed by Disney. I could be wrong. with my
Mm.
info. But specifically that, and given that Disney is a very big company and can promote it, it obviously comes with that. But also, I believe that Spirited Away is also the very first animated film to win an Academy Award,
Mm.
which like think about, I don't know, animated films that are there in general, right? Like you have Toy Story, you have all these other big animated films from the past, but for Spirited Away to win the first animated prize in sort of globally recognized
Mm.
award ceremony, it was a big deal. So I think with the success of Spirited Away came stuff like House Moving Castle and just more awareness of other Ghibli
Mm.
films that were being created and just like a bigger fan base in general. Again, like, you know, whoever's listening can fact check me because I'm not, I could be wrong with the info that I'm giving right now, but that's pretty much how I see it. But I think aside from that, in general, what makes Ghibli so loved as well is that all Ghibli films are very emotionally layered. Like with
Mm.
Spirited Away, it captures this feeling of growing up in a world where no one understands you and trying to be kind all throughout the confusion and all the bad stuff that's been happening and trying to kind of live with that and without being very in your face, which is very common with a lot of anime. Like a lot of anime tends to spoon feed you. With
Yeah.
Ghibli films, it's more of going through the journey and then having your own takeaway and your interpretation of what happened. Like with House Moving Castle, for example, it feels like a fairy tale, but it's a very like deeply political sort of film as well. I think, again, I could be wrong with the information, but I believe that Hayao Miyazaki made House Moving Castle, for example, as a protest of the war that was happening in Iraq at the time. It was kind of his way
Mm.
of showing that this is what war does, but in a very like whimsical fairy tale sort of setting. I think that's why it resonates with a lot of people globally because it does have themes that everyone sort of experiences and goes through. Like I said, it's very emotionally layered, but it's set out in a very simple sort of way, but also in a very visually appealing slash very storytelling kind of way.
Yeah, and you did mention that Ghibli films tend to have these reoccurring themes. What are some recurring themes that you've noticed across Ghibli films?
Recurring themes, I guess a lot of them are coming of age.
Okay.
Um, they tackle very complex themes without being confusing. There's nothing specific. Like I can't say, for example, Howl's Moving Castle is the same as Princess Mononoke, but
Mm.
in the sense of a theme, I guess everything is about like all coming of age sort of films. It's all about growing up and trying to navigate through that growth.
Mm.
Nothing very specific. And another thing that I've noticed about Ghibli films, there's this quote that Hayao Miyazaki has said. I don't remember the exact quotes, but it's something along the lines of he doesn't believe that just because a man and a woman appears on screen, that a
Mm.
love story should ensue. Like true love comes with, you know, trying to support each other and trying to grow together. And for him to be able to show that through an animated film, then he feels like he would have done his job. So in that sense, I feel like that would have been the recurring theme with all Ghibli. It's about growth and learning how to be kind and to support each other through whatever it is the world is
That they're
going
going through.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that I've noticed with Ghibli films is that they don't have villains. Like not an exact personification of a villain. Let's say, for example, it's not like Pain from Naruto,
Yeah.
that there's an actual villain, right? Like there's something, yes, like for example, in Grave of the Fireflies, there's a war that's happening,
Yeah.
which that's why this is happening to those two kids.
Mm.
But there's no villain.
Yeah. There's no, yeah,
You get my
nothing
point?
nothing very specific like this is a villain. No. There's nothing like that.
No.
That's true. Ghibli doesn't have that. And I also noticed like when it comes to female characters in Ghibli films as compared to a lot of anime, Ghibli girls and women are never passive. They're, you know, they're flawed, they're curious, they're brave, but they're also soft all at once.
Mm.
And I can't think of a Ghibli film that is a fan service that tries to sexualize anyone in any way, which is very common in anime. And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of a Ghibli film, you know? It's like the mundane stuff, like maybe going to school in a bicycle, right? Or like cooking a meal. Like these are all very ordinary acts. But the way that Ghibli portrays it is like it's this very sacred thing. So even like just characters in general are all treated in that way. It's not
Mm.
like with anime in general, characters are treated as something to be swooned over or someone to be like rooted for or someone to be hated. There's like this hidden agenda towards each character, but Ghibli films are not like that.
In the catalog of Ghibli films, what films do you think are overrated and what are the underrated ones? How many have you watched anyway?
A lot.
All of
Uh,
them?
maybe all of it. I don't think I've watched all of it because there are titles that are very underrated. That I like. Sometimes I'll stumble upon one. I'll be like, oh, I had no idea that was a Ghibli film. I think I can't think of an overrated one. I did meet someone who felt like Spirited Away was an overrated one, which I disagree with. I absolutely love Spirited Away. I will like that's my favorite thing in the entire world.
You will fight
I will
anyone.
fight everybody. Like, how dare you think that Spirited Away is overrated? It's not. I feel like there's a lot more underrated ones. Nothing very specific. Maybe one of my favorite ones, Whisper of the Heart, is an overrated. Is an underrated one. It's one of the quieter, sort of grounded Ghibli films from the '90s that people don't usually talk about. Because I feel like a lot of the films, when they think of Ghibli is from let's say 1999,
Yeah.
2000s. Those are where people and the animation. Not that it changed completely, but there's a difference in the animation style a little bit between those years and like the ones from like the early 90s. So I feel like those would definitely be the underrated ones. But overrated, I don't think any of them are overrated. For me, I'm not like a huge Princess Mononoke fan, but there are a
Mm.
lot of people who will swear by Princess Mononoke is the best
Yeah.
Ghibli film. So there's nothing I would say is like, overrated really.
But underrated, there's like quite a few.
Underrated is definitely maybe most of the early 90s
Mm.
Ghibli.
But wait, I have another question. In Studio Ghibli, do they have multiple directors? Or is it all just Hayao Miyazaki?
I
Because, like,
think
for example, in Final Fantasy, right? Like,
mm,
they have different directors per Final Fantasy, or like, you get my point?
yeah.
Are there other directors in Studio Ghibli that directs films aside from Hayao Miyazaki?
I think it is just Miyazaki directed. But no, wait.
Mm.
Miyazaki directed most, but there are
Mm.
some like Grave of the Fireflies is not Miyazaki.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought Studio Ghibli equals Hayao Miyazaki.
For the
But then
most
when I
part.
was, yeah,
Yes.
because I was also researching, and then there's like these other directors that were mentioned, but I don't really know them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, talking about film, because you've mentioned, I mean, we know that you're a film director, you're in the creative side of things.
Mm.
Do you think there's something about Ghibli that makes it different from Western animation studios like Disney or like Pixar? Because those animation studios are giants, right? Like,
Yeah.
even for me, I've watched a lot of Pixar movies, Disney movies. I don't think, who doesn't, right? Especially in
Mm.
our generation. So, what makes it different from those
Uh,
animation studios?
what I think makes it different is kind of what I touched on earlier as well. It's very similar to a lot of very recent anime where it's very plot driven, where
Mm,
there's a lot of action going on, like especially in today's world where most people have very short attention spans, it's always fighting towards getting your attention span, right? But
mm,
with Ghibli, it's not afraid to be silent. It's not afraid to be still. It it's not afraid to just flow as a story and just for you to like be calm and internalize what you're watching. It's not afraid to do that. So
mm.
it's really more about the pacing and the perspective of how Ghibli works as compared to, I guess, more recent anime plus the Western sort of animated films. and it's not very direct as well. It's not trying to, like, obviously there is a sort of learning lesson at the end or whatever, but it's not trying to teach you anything, not directly. It still leaves you, like I said, it's about pacing and perspective. It's about what you take away from that story. It's not
Mm.
like, let's say I'm trying to think of like an animated Western film right now.
The one that I thought of was Finding Nemo. Oops, that's not right now.
No, yeah, okay, like Lilo and Stitch. That's the most recent one, right? So
Okay,
like
okay.
Lilo and Stitch, like Ohana means family. So it's always centered and grounded into being close as a family and trying to support the family. And the message is very clear. It's very like in your face. That's not what Ghibli does.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Like there's no, like the moral of the story is up to you.
Yes.
It's
It's
not like very in your face that this is what you will get out of this film.
exactly. And it really
Mm.
prioritizes the experience more than just having all this action. And it just, it's if it's subtle, if it's quiet, it will be subtle and quiet, just like life.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, or maybe because The Grave of the Fireflies is a very old movie as well. It's like 1980s
Mm.
something. So I get, okay, like for example, I understand what you mean about the attention span because like in
Yeah.
the cinema, I so hate it whenever I'm in the cinema and someone opens their phone. Like,
Yeah.
can't you just sit through a movie without checking your phone? Like, like please, like I can see the light shining on their face, and I'm just like, no, because really, sometimes it's really annoying, right? Like when you're watching and it's pitch dark and you're in a nice scene in the
Yeah.
movie and stuff, and then someone's phone will just be like lighting up on the side like that.
Mm.
Um, hello, but I'm also at fault because my attention span is really short. I think the only time that I can sit through something without touching anything is in the cinema. Otherwise, like if I'm at home, that's my main problem actually when I was watching anime recently. Like, for example, I'm watching on my laptop, right? And then I have my phone and I'm scrolling. It's like, oh shit, no, I'm watching an anime. I should stop. I don't watch anime in times two yet, or like 1.5 speed yet, but I do listen to podcasts in 1.5 speed.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really poisoning my attention span. I should start watching Ghibli movies more. So yeah, now for those who haven't seen many Ghibli films, like for me, Amy, what would you recommend that I watch? Because you know that I've watched My Neighbor Totoro and great. What should I watch next? And what should I
Well,
expect?
uh for me it's really Spirited Away. Like like you watch Spirited Away is the best thing ever. But then I know there will be people who will disagree with me. But like I did watch Spirited Away very recently with one of my close friends. Like it was a very random day. Like I was just like, hey, let's just watch Spirited Away. Like I'm in the mood to watch it. And she doesn't really watch anime. She doesn't watch anime.
She
She
watched
hasn't really
Demon
watched,
Slayer
like,
one
forget
time.
Ghibli. She hasn't really watched anime in general, right? And she was like, okay, sure. And then after watching Spirited Away, she kind of just got addicted to Ghibli. We started, binging a couple of Ghibli films after that. So like I will stand by my Spirited Away. Yeah, because like I think for me it's the most balanced introduction, in the sense where it has that more modern animated style, but there's also fantasy and there's like emotional depth, and like the visuals are breathtaking. It's not super heavy, like it's not Grave of the Fireflies. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Spirited Away. Yeah, and then maybe after that, like my top two would be Ariete.
Mm-hmm.
Ariete is very similar to, like, if you know it, like the story of Thumbelina, like the very
Okay,
small
okay.
girl. It's a similar story. I think that's the thing with Ghibli films. It has this real life aspect to it. It's kind of, that's just how life is. I don't know, I don't know how to, like, if you watch Ghibli films, you kind of get what I'm saying, but it's kind of, you don't always necessarily know what's next, or
Mm.
what the future holds, and you're just trying to live your life. I think, uh yes, a lot of most Ghibli films are like that. And yeah, I think Spirited Away, Ariete, they do that really, really well.
It's just that I had to be mentally prepared for Grave. That's it.
That's a very weird first first Ghibli, I think.
No, it's a second. My
A
first was My
second.
Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
Okay. No, no, actually, yeah, you're right. It's my first. Great. But the thing is, I didn't finish it. Like, I was just watching snippets of it. Because,
Yeah.
like, the spoilers of it being about war and the poster, the comparison that they made it, if you enhance the brightness of the poster, you will understand that those are actually not fireflies, those are
Yeah.
bombs. So, like, you
You
would
like
know that it's heavy,
right.
you
Yeah.
know?
No, I would not say like I would not recommend anyone to start with Grave of the Fireflies. Like it's stunning. It's a beautiful film, but it's very emotionally heavy. Unless you've already
And
fallen in love.
traumatizing.
Yeah, like if unless you've fallen in love with Ghibli already, or like you really just love stories that are sad, that are
Mm.
about war, like let's say like in the Western media, right? Like Atonement or The Pianist. If you like films like
Mhm.
that, like yeah, go for Grave of the Fireflies. But if you're if you're like
A
into
beginner.
yeah, if you're you just I don't know, watch Disney or you're into shonen, for example, that's like a really weird thing to start. Not it's weird, but it's just too heavy to start with. And not that shonen doesn't have sad stories, they do, but the approach is very different. So
Because, girl, I have sadistic friends who will tell me, like, oh, yeah, this is a nice film. You should watch it. You get my point? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not because they want you to appreciate the movie, but they want you to be in pain.
yeah, yeah.
you know? Like, I have those kinds of friends. So that's why. That's why they recommended Grape to me. Okay? So, yeah. Now, one final question from me is, I know that we're late on this trend, which is the Ghibli trend. And we were both having our discussion
Mhm.
about it generally. Like, do we think it's okay? Why is it not okay? What do you think about it personally? So now I just want this discussion to be on the podcast because we just had it personal,
Yeah,
right? So what do you think about it?
I've pretty much written the post for what our
Mm,
views combined, I guess,
true.
would be in regards to that. I've
Mm,
I've posted that on our Instagram, and it just seemed right, of course, coming from us
mm,
who are an anime podcast to be talking about something that trending at that time. But on a personal level, I feel like when it comes to Ghibli as a whole, it's its own unique thing. For example, for someone who's never seen a Ghibli film before, the advice I guess I would give would be, you when you want to watch one, you have to like really slow down. And it's not about trying to figure out the plot twist or what's going to happen next. It's about how it
mm,
feels, because it's not like a big reveal. It's literally just the sincerity of what life is really about. And so when it came to that trend, it was very tempting to want to do it. I didn't do it. But I understand where people would be coming from, because they felt that magic with Ghibli, to want to see themselves in that light and to want to experience that magic. But the magic is not the same. Obviously,
true.
it's really not the same. But am I mad at the people for doing it? No, because I get it. I think
Yeah.
that in that sense, like, there were no ill intentions involved. I think that, people just, like I said, wanted to experience that magic and have fun, and just wanted to hop on a trend. Maybe a lot of people were not aware of Ghibli, and this trend made them want to experience what a Ghibli film is like. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day, it's about being respectful towards Hayao Miyazaki and the studio that he built. Obviously, he's not okay with it, but I also think, like, at the same time, we're not necessarily, like, the people were not, like I said, didn't have ill intentions, didn't really want to steal from the hard work that Miyazaki has put into Ghibli all these years. It was more so just to experience something. And at the end of the day, like, there was no one was taking away from Ghibli. Like, we all knew that as this is Ghibli style art. Like, if you ask
True.
AI to make, oh, can you make a picture of me in Van Gogh style? Like, Miyazaki has already made himself like a placeholder in the industry everywhere. Like, not just in anime, but like worldwide, that this is Ghibli style art. So everyone knew that, oh, this is a Ghibli thing, even if they've never necessarily watched the Ghibli film. We're not
True.
taking away from a very small artist, but the bad thing would be in the sense where, I guess this is more of an ethical moral thing, but like if big corporations start, laying off people in animated teams, and you know remove like the human touch of what goes behind the stories, which is what Ghibli is all about, right? If big corporations just hop on AI and forget about the human being behind the arts, then that's a different case. But in terms of the trend, definitely, I think people should have been respectful towards what Miyazaki wanted, but I can understand where they were coming from, in the sense where they just wanted to try to be part of the
See
magic.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, when that AI art trend came out, like there's a lot of art styles that they try to copy. Let's say I saw people doing One Piece,
Yeah.
other art styles, but the one that stuck the most was Ghibli.
Yeah.
And there's probably a good reason behind it. It's because everyone liked the animation style,
Yeah.
right? Like it is heartwarming in a sense that yes, it's not the same as the film, the Ghibli magic as you were talking about, but
Mm.
the warmness of the drawings are still there.
Yeah.
You know, even though again it's AI generated, it shouldn't be, but it's just fun to see people in that art style.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to point out was about big companies stealing
Mm.
by using AI. I've seen few events that don't hire animators,
Yeah.
don't hire graphic designers, but are using AI posters.
And that's wrong.
Like, that's wrong. Because, like, for example, I remember we had this discussion for your film, right? Like the poster.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like, oh, what is this AI
Mhm.
slop whatsoever? Why are you allowing the use of AI for your movie poster or whatever, right? For MEFCC. But then again, you're not taking away from someone. It's just that that person probably didn't have time to hire someone to do their own poster. They didn't have time. That's why they had to resort to using AI.
Yeah.
It's not like they did it on purpose
Yeah.
to steal from someone. But
Big
again,
corporations
we're talking
don't have
about
that excuse. Yeah.
exactly. Like if you're, let's say, hosting a big event that you're expecting thousands of people to come,
Yes.
but you're using AI generated banners,
Yeah.
designs, promotional materials, then that's wrong. Because
Yeah.
you have the means to pay for people,
Exactly.
but you're not doing it.
Exactly. And I think with the trend, with the Ghibli style trend, everyone knew it was AI, and it was just for the
Yeah.
sake of following a trend. We were not necessarily people, like, I don't know, let's say your little sister tried it out on, they're not making money off of that. They're just like, oh, I just want to follow the trend and see what I look like. It wasn't a big corporation who had all the funds to commission an artist to actually draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's gonna be wrong if, let's say, for example, I started selling out prints of
yes.
Ghibli style drawing when in fact I just used AI to produce it to produce the photos or
Yes.
to do the commission.
Yeah.
You get my point? Then that's wrong because I'm making money out of it.
Mm.
Right? So yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. It's just that for me, when I first saw it, obviously everyone is negative about it. You say, oh yeah, it's AI art. You shouldn't be doing that. It's wrong. You're taking away from artists and stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this episode?
Yeah, I think since the 40th anniversary of Ghibli is coming up, that you know if you haven't seen a Ghibli film before, like I mean, not that you haven't seen, but like if you haven't really experienced it, like now would be like a good time for you to just sit down and watch. But it really is about having stillness in your life even for a little while, and just experience that world building, that magic, that emotion. Just let it take over you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And also, just to add, since it's the 40th anniversary, right? They're having a, what they call this, screening of all Ghibli films. I think it started since April this year until November. So they're screening all the films, So who knows? Maybe we can host watch parties here.
Yeah.
For Ghibli movies, like we can do Spirited Away one time, because we were planning that for the anime meetup.
Yeah.
The people who wanted to watch it were not available on
Yeah.
the day of the meetup that we said, because again, we mentioned that it's during the Eid holidays.
Mm.
So soon we will do that, and yeah, let's all experience Ghibli magic.
Yes.
Yes. So anything you want to promote, Amy?
No, just follow me on Just Amy Thing on Instagram, TikTok, whatever have you.
Yeah, and start triggering people more with your reels. For me, just follow me at Vivz Mage. Again, we do have a WhatsApp group chat. You can check out the link on our description. We also have a subreddit and a Discord server where you guys can all hang out. But most of the things that we are planning for the UAE people are in the WhatsApp group chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you again, guys, for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Ara Ara